Hey everyone, Mike here from Benny Outdoors. Welcome to another episode of Bass Class. Today we're talking about the squarebill crankbait. This is a bait that has a million varieties. There is different sizes. There is silent versus having a rattle. There is a billion different shapes. Every manufacturer makes one of these, and don't even get me started on the color selection. Forget about it. There's just too many to even talk about. So, again, as I said, I want to break down the basics of this bait. The square bill has, just like the name implies, a squared bill. That actually prevents the bait from diving super deep. The way it catches water, it tends to tip upwards and wobble side to side for an action. But it does really prevent that bait from getting super deep. Typically, most square bills run either 1 to 3 foot, 3 to 5 foot. Very rarely, but sometimes you'll find some that go down 8 to 10 feet, but that's very rare and very specific baits. The size of the bait actually does not determine the depth. Be very careful when you look at a bait. Just because you bought the bigger one does not mean that that one's going to go deeper than a smaller one. They'll say how deep they dive on the packaging, and it's very important to look at that because it does not matter how big the bait is. It will go different depths. I've made that mistake before, and I want you to learn from my mistakes. The square bill has its purpose because it is used in a lot of different situations. It's very versatile. The one situation that you do not want to use this bait is thick, heavy vegetation. That's more of a swim jig kind of style fishing, and I actually have a video about that, so check that out up there if you're interested in that kind of fishing. The square bill really excels on bottoms where there is hard cover, like rock. It will actually bounce. It will ricochet off of cover as you reel it through that. It's actually a really cool action. It will create a reaction bite as it comes and hits something and changes direction. It'll work really good around wood as well, but you have to keep in mind there's treble hooks dangling from the bottom of that, so it also will get caught in the wood. So you have to fish it very, very carefully around wood. When it comes to grass, you can fish them above grass, just above grass where the hooks are just kind of barely ticking the grass. That is actually a good way to fish these. Once you get into the grass, though, you're going to hang that thing up and you're going to get aggravated, so I do not recommend that. When it comes to gear, you can use a spinning rod to fish smaller size square bills. That is perfectly okay. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. When you get more specialized, you start using bigger ones, then I do recommend using a casting reel and rod. There's a lot of different varieties of setups, but for the most part, you could use a medium to medium heavy with pretty much any casting reel that you prefer. These baits are super versatile, like I said, because they come in so many different colors, and then there's a little bit of variety in the shapes of them as well. What you need to do is eliminate the majority of the colors at your local tackle shop. What you need to do is think about what your bait fish is in the body of water you're fishing. If your bait fish are shad, pick a shad color. If your bait fish are perch, then pick something that represents the perch color, bluegill, etc. It's called matching the hatch. You don't need a huge variety of colors if you can just pick ones that match the bait fish in your bodies of water. That's all you really truly need. There is specific colors for specific instances and very detailed situations, but you don't need to worry about that initially. Just pick up something that looks like a shad, a perch, whatever is in your body of water for the bait fish that your bass are eating, and that's all you really need. I said earlier the different sizes and different depths. In reality, you only really need one or two sizes, and mostly you just want to keep in mind the depth. So if you're fishing somewhere that's shallow, you'll want a shallower diving one. If you're fishing a little bit deeper, you'll get that 3 to 5. You can buy the two within usually this. You can usually buy both in the same color. So most manufacturers will make a shallow diving versus a deeper diving version. Now, I said deeper diving, not deep diving. There is a difference. When you talk about a deep diving crankbait, they actually have a rounded nose on the end. Don't get those mistaken with a square bill. They're used for an entirely different purpose, and we'll do a different video about that later. When it comes to the retrieve of this bait, all you need to know is cast it and reel. You can change the speed in which you reel it. You can reel it faster, you can reel it slower, you can do a start stop, you can wiggle your rod a little bit, but that's really all there is to it. It's just a matter of figuring out what the fish want, remembering what you did when you caught that fish, and that is how you fish and work a square bill. It's that easy. That's all the information you really need to know at this time to go out and catch fish with this bait. Now, again, we will do an advanced video later on different techniques, different reasons why you would buy different styles, and all of that. But I really just wanted to do this introductory video explaining the basics so that if you're confused about this bait or overwhelmed, it made it a lot simpler, hopefully, and it will allow you to get out there and just catch some fish. I want to thank you guys for coming along with me. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for more Bass Class episodes.